In section 16-4, we are going to prepare closing entries. We have 4 closing entries that we need to do. We need to first close all of the income statement accounts that have a credit balance, then all the income statement accounts that have a debit balance, then we need to close our net income or loss, and then also our dividends. Number 1, 2, and 4, those account balances are found in the adjusted trial balance. Number 3, you need to get that net income balance from our income statement. So for our first adjusting entry, our closing entry, you'll see up at the top here we have our heading, closing entries, always the last date of the month. And then all of our accounts that have credits in our adjusted trial balance, these 4 credit balance accounts, in order to close out or zero those out, we need to debit them. So we debit those 4 accounts and then credit income summary because it's a transaction, so our debits need to equal our credits. So you can see here that we'll use the income summary account for our revenue for those credit balances that we just did. So we need a credit income summary for 2 of our transactions and debit income summary when we close out our expenses, which is our next transaction. So we have all these accounts with a debit balance. We've got our date. Again, we are going to debit income summary and credit all of the accounts which have a debit balance. So if it has a debit balance in the adjusted trial balance and it's included on the income statement, then we need to close it out. So on the adjusted trial balance, that's everything below income summary on the adjusted trial balance. So to close out all of the balances here that have debit balances, you could see an example of some of them up here. To zero those out, we need to credit them in our closing entry. So we'll credit all of our debit accounts and then debit income summary for the total. So that is our second closing entry for the debit balances on the income statement. Our next closing entry is for net income. So we need to debit income summary and credit retained earnings. So you need to find this number on the income statement. This is the net income after federal income tax. We are closing that out of retained earnings into income summary. So this is the one number that you get from the income statement rather than the adjusted trial balance. So again, the date, because these are 4 separate entries. And our last one is to close out dividends. This dividends amount, $15,000, is coming from our adjusted trial balance. It is a debit balance, so we need to credit that. So credit dividends and debit retained earnings. So those are our 4 closing entries, all of which are found on the income statement. All of the accounts that we need to close are on the income statement. So we zero them out going into the next year to start fresh because we keep track of sales, dividends, all of the income statement accounts for just 1 year. So that is section 16-4.